So that being said, I think it's more than reasonable, and on top of it, he signed a waiver of extradition back to his home state. So all those things considered, I think it's more than reasonable. And again, I think that you have to understand that somebody mentioned in the back there, accidental. You have to understand the term accidental the word has its own meaning. And by the term accidental, it means that given the facts and circumstances, whatever happened was completely unavoidable. I would be very hesitant to use that term in this particular case. And again, I would point out that the individual had a valid permit to carry the weapon. It was a full carry permit issued by a judge in Sullivan County that they vetted this person to have this gun. And again, the reason for the charges are based upon the person's conduct at the mall at approximately 3:06 on Sunday afternoon. That's what it relates to. And again, I hope that answers your question, but I don't see anything low about it. And quite frankly, the judge was told ahead of time what the bail recommendation was going to be, and that's what it is.
Right. I think the question becomes the level of cooperation is cited as that this person was very cooperative, but at the same time, it required his image being released to the media and being put out there, and he changed his appearance, and then he surrendered himself. So it wasn't as if he actually stayed in the mall when the incident took place.
That's correct. You accurately stated the facts. But he could have easily walked in and said he wasn't going to cooperate. He walked in, he had a lawyer, he sat down, led us to the evidence, led us to the facts and circumstances. And in the system, that has to be evaluated in any circumstance that we decide what to do. And again, I go back to, we're dealing with a case where one shot was discharged, and the person was carrying a legal weapon, and the person has no criminal history.
But you can't comment on how that firearm was discharged? He didn't say if he intentionally shot or if it was just being mishandled in some way? I would imagine intent.
I think you can read, if you read the charges, I think the charges speak for what is being said.
Would it be considered typical and responsible for someone who has a carry permit who's carrying their weapon to keep the safety on?
Depends what training they went to. Not all training that people carry firearms receive the same training. Just in Orange County, you can go to different people, different standards. Again, the investigation is still continuing.
Are his permits going to be revoked?
That's up to the judge in Sullivan County.
Forgive me having just walked into the room, but you said the charges speak for themselves, and I'm just looking for a little bit of clarity. Are you saying that this was an accident?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the charges, reckless endangerment and criminally negligent assault, is what they boil down to, that they speak for themselves.
Can you explain them for us, for those who aren't as familiar with the charges? Can you give us an idea of how you came to assign those charges?
Based upon the interview with the defendant.
No details about that interview.
I'm prohibited from talking about his statement.
I understand you guys are still active in the investigation, but with all the different agencies responding, is there any idea, maybe a ballpark at this point, as to how much money has gone into trying to secure all of these, secure them all and all of that?
I'll let the sheriff or the chief answer that one.
Obviously, the initial response and the ensuing investigation required the investment of a lot of law enforcement resources, and it still is ongoing. As we mentioned, it's still an open, active investigation. Tips are still flowing in to the tip hotline, and we have teams assigned to investigate those tips as they come in. So it's kind of hard to put a dollar figure on the cost of the investigation, but that doesn't play into the charges. We have responsibility to the community to keep it safe and investigate all crimes and other illegal activity here. So the cost is not a factor at this point. That is something that may very well be evaluated later, but it's something that's not determined at this level.
Chief, I heard that a Sullivan deputy sheriff was the one who ID'd him by video and called right away. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we're not in a position to comment on any of the tips that came in to the hotline at this point.
Another question about the charges. Is there no charge that's applicable based on the fact that he left the scene? Like, for example, if you're in a car accident and you leave the scene of a car accident, there's a charge that's applicable to that scenario. Is there not something similar in this case?
At this time, he did not meet the criteria for any additional charges, but once again, the investigation is ongoing, and it's anticipated that this case will be going to the grand jury, so there is a possibility that there may be additional charges going forward.
What is the criteria?
I don't have the statute, statutes in front of me, I can say.
You don't know what is the criteria for being charged with leaving the scene after?
There's no crime for leaving the scene of that.
Yeah, my comment was more just general, that there may be additional charges, not necessarily for that. I apologize if I was unclear about that, yes. If that's it, have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.